This is not only my story, but a story of a black child, a black woman that is breaking barriers. I'm sure everyone here in this room, whether you're a woman or you're a man, you can relate to the story. For a man, maybe for your sister, for your colleagues, or your niece, or your cousin, they can relate to this story. Because even though we come from different places, we have faced similar challenges. I grew up in Mzimkhulu, which is in KZN. Some of you might ask yourselves, where is Mzimkhulu? It's a small town in KZN. The only thing I can remember about it, which was in the news recently, is that if you've heard of comrade Lucindiso Magaka, who just passed away, he's from the same town that I come from. So maybe you might get an idea as to where is Mzimkhulu by relating to that story. Growing up there was not even easy at all, because it's not your ideal place, maybe a township, it's a rural area. As a child growing up there, you face a lot of different challenges. For example, I was walking a distance of about 5 kilometers. If I can try to measure it for you now, it's a distance from here in Sentin to Kilani golf club. So you can try and imagine that distance walking as a child, a 5-year-old to a 13-year-old walking just to get education. Not only walking a long distance, but also walking on an empty stomach. So you can try now and imagine yourself when you're 5 years old, when you were 6 years old, walking on an empty stomach, going to school, trying to concentrate in school, to listen so that you can absorb and go home and tell someone that I learned something today. That was not the only challenge. The other challenge was also that we didn't have nice infrastructures. For example, my classes were built using planks, which were donated by a timber company that was very close to where we were staying. There was no nice floor. There were only stones on the floor that we sometimes used to entertain ourselves by throwing these stones to each other during lunch times, or maybe when we feel bored in class. Another challenge that we had was that you didn't have access to information for you to actually decide what career path you want to follow, which was making it hard for a child who wants to change a circumstance that they are in. You're living under these circumstances, you're growing up, you're becoming a young woman. Becoming a young woman also has its own expectations. Expectations from the society, from the family, also at school, because as you're getting to a higher grade, there's more work that you need to do for you to be prepared for high school. When you come back from school, you'll be having domestic chores that will last you up to, you get maybe to 9 p.m. and you still have your homework that you need to do. Those are the challenges that a black child that wants to achieve big had to face. The biggest challenge, though, was the fact that you were pressured because our parents, because of them not having that education that we are exposed to now, they believe that the only way for you to get security, the only way for you to get to wealth, the only way for you to get freedom was to be married. So I lived under those circumstances where every day as you're walking, you're being asked, when are you getting married? But because I had bigger dreams other than that, I decided to choose the other direction. Later on, as I proceed with my high school life, I was moved by my parents to Johannesburg, which was very good for me. When I came to Johannesburg, I thought it was a very good idea for them, because I felt like maybe the circumstances that I was living under will change as I come to a bigger city where people believe everything is happening for the best in Johannesburg. As I moved here, I also faced other challenges. Those challenges were not only challenging my intellect, they were also challenging me as a person. For example, when you're growing up in a rural area, when you're going to a school there, the only subject you'll be learning in English is only English. Other subjects, because they're trying to accommodate you, they will teach you in your home language. Now I'm here in Johannesburg, I'm expected to learn things in English, and I'm having difficulties trying to adapt. Besides that, there's also the change in the lifestyle. There's a fast pace in Johannesburg that you need to adapt into so that you don't feel like you're falling behind. You get to a school where you find there's 30 people in class compared to you being in a school where there was 86 people in class. And now you have to start developing your confidence so that you can show your teachers that you are able to succeed as well. What I also appreciated when I got to Joburg was the fact that I was able now to access information. There are libraries which I could go and gain more understanding on the careers that I can follow with the subjects that I have chosen. And luckily for me, I also get to go to career expos to learn about different types of careers. And one lucky day, I was nominated as part of these 3 students that were taken to the Gordon's Institute Business School workshop. When I got there, I had thought maybe things have changed for the better for me until I realized that there are kids who are actually getting better benefits than I did as a kid who's coming from the townships. When we were there, what hurt me the most was the fact that even though we were matriculants, it was not easy to be identifiable as a matriculant with us. When you look at other kids, they had their own matric jackets where nobody would ask them, what grade are you doing? But for us, every time we had to explain ourselves to say, I am doing grade 12, which was not nice when you're trying to figure your way out as well on how you can change your life. The other challenge was that even though I thought being in the township and studying there would have improved my life and will also add some value to who I am, as that you get to this workshop, you have people who are confident with their English, they're asking probing questions that you never thought of, and you get amazed and you start to wonder, am I getting enough where I am, or am I being cheated out? Above all that, I was able to get my matric, and then I had to now start to go to university. There I was thinking, my life is getting a direction. I am actually going to achieve these dreams that I've been dreaming of. When I got to university, I also faced other challenges. First of all, I'm the only child at home who went to varsity. So I didn't have anyone to relate to, someone who can give me guidance on what is expected of you when you get to varsity. I had to find my fit on my own. I had to find my way and make sure I still succeed without me giving up because I feel like I'm out of place. On my second year at varsity, when I thought things are getting better, I received this communication from my parents. They were telling me, oh, Sihle, this year we cannot afford to pay for your fees. We're having financial difficulties. At that moment, you have to decide whether you're giving up, you're dropping out. But because I had a fear of becoming statistics of people that dropped out of college, especially in our color, the black people, I was very scared. Someone would say to me right now, why didn't you think about NSFAS? Why didn't you think about bursaries? Considering the background that I'm coming from already, I didn't have the access to know about these other fundings that I could have used for me to proceed with my studies. But I proceeded with my studies with the hope that during the year something will come up, my parents will be able to fund my studies again, of which my mom was a very intelligent woman. She had saved up some money on the side, so she had to tap on her mini savings for her to be able to pay for my fees for that year. And then the following year, I was able to do my third year. I completed my degree with the University of Johannesburg. The highlight I had from me getting that degree was on my graduation day. When everything was done, the ceremony was done, I had walked up there with pride because I realized I'm changing not only my future, but also the future of the generation in my family. Was when I was working out with my dad, and he said to me, you know what, when I was working for the Johannesburg municipality as a general worker, I used to clean outside these buildings. I never thought I'll come inside. I never thought I'll watch my child walking down there wearing her gown and being given that certificate. That moment for me still resonates even today. And that actually pushed me to even want to achieve more. I then completed my studies and then had to now start searching for a job. I think here everyone can relate that when you're done with your degree, and while you're still doing it, you are being told that, hey, after this, you're having a lot of opportunities. After this, you'll get a job immediately. You'll be getting paid a certain amount of money, which is slightly the truth for some of us, but not for all of us. Because for me, it wasn't the truth for me. I had to start searching for a contract, searching for a job, getting rejected. You go for interviews, you're being told you are overqualified, you're being told you're having qualifications that they don't need, you are being told you don't have the minimum number of years of experience that they're looking for, which was a shocker because you're asking yourself, I just graduated, how can you expect me to accumulate a certain number of years? I was sitting at home, frustrated, and thinking maybe I wasn't supposed to even pursue this degree. I was just supposed to sit at home and do nothing. It was even worse when I was trying to convince my brother to pursue his studies. He said to me, what's the point? Because you're sitting here and you have all these certificates. One day then, my mother said to me, I remember you applied before for a work readiness program. Why don't you try it again and see if they cannot take you in? I did apply for the program. It was hosted by Guarantee Trust. They were based in Kyalami at that time. I went into the program. Within the program, they tried to equip you with soft skills. They will try to prepare you for interviews. They'll even take you to companies for you to be interviewed and see if you cannot get a training contract. And that's how I got my training contract with Ngubane Co through that process. I'm getting my first job. I'm excited. I'm thinking, hey, finally, everything that I wanted to do, I'm about to do it for my parents. Every dream that I had, the cars that I wanted, I'm about to buy them because now I have a job without realizing it's still a training contract. When I got into the contract, decided again to pursue my studies to do my CTA. There are challenges when you are studying and working as well, like trying to find a balance between work and your studies, and having you to sacrifice maybe your studies because you have to deliver to clients. Other than that, you also have fears because as a person, you realize that now I'm a breadwinner. If I put my focus on my studies and forget about work, I might lose this job that has started to change some things in my life. So you end up sacrificing your studies and pushing the work more. As I went through the process of the training contract, you start meeting people, you start discussing, getting to know people, and you realize that other people have more challenges than you did. For example, some of my colleagues, they had degrees that were from non-SAICA accredited universities, which meant for them, this path of qualifying as a CTA was a bit longer than mine. My biggest wish when I started the contract was to make sure that I complete the contract within the record time. And I also complete my studies with the contract concurrently, of which it didn't happen. Me sacrificing the studies resulted into me failing my CTA more than once. Actually, I repeated it 5 times before I got it. There are other challenges that you face as well. For example, the society expectations. When you start working, everyone just starts thinking, hey, you should have a car. You should buy a house. You should move out of your parents. You should look different from the way you looked when you started, which is not true because you already have a backlog of things that you want to do before it starts reflecting on you as a person. There are other things like family expectations. People start calling you for money, thinking you're earning a lot, of which the term we use on the streets is black tax. Everyone starts thinking you have money to just give out, which is not true as well. You have other pressures as well, like trying to make sure that whatever you wanted to achieve at that time, at the age that you are in, you achieve it, which is impossible because already you had other delays along the process. These are the challenges of a child trying to achieve big. For me, luckily, when I joined the firm that I joined, I was actually happy because I get to realize that there is a contribution that Black firms, small, medium firms that are doing in this country for people who still want to pursue their CA careers. They identify the gaps that between us as the kids that are coming from those disadvantaged environment. They try to create this platform where we can still try to achieve the dreams that we had as a child. They do career fairs where they go to even universities that are non-psych accredited to give hope to you to say, it doesn't mean this is the end. There is another route that you can take. They also provide you with skills as you are going through your training contract. They identify what you still need to polish along the way. They give you a platform for you to implement those skills. The most important one is the academic support. As I said before, that there's always a challenge for you to try and balance your work and your studies. The academic support is not only because you need extra classes, you also need that financial support because you cannot afford to pay for those fees by yourselves. As I've mentioned, that you already have a backlog of things that you need to do, or maybe you are a breadwinner at home. So they provide those classes for you to be able to realize that dream of becoming a chartered accountant. As I am standing in front of you today, I am so honored. As a child, growing up in the rurals, walking in the dusty roads, I know the term has been used before, but I never realized I'll be standing at the CFO Indaba, telling my story, but not only my story, a story of a Black child everywhere. Sharing with you this information that is so sensitive to me because it digs deep. But looking back, I don't regret the path that I had to take to get to where I am today. I know I said it's a story about how you can change your life by achieving big. I have achieved big, but there's still more for me to achieve. It's not the end yet. I am currently I'm about to write my APC exam. So after failing CTA 5 times, I'm very close to realizing that dream of being a CA, which I had as a child, which I carried through from my primary education level up to date. And I still feel like there's still more that I can achieve from what I have done thus far. But I encourage everyone who's here, I know there is someone you know, someone who is struggling to find their way, someone who is not sure whether they can still pursue the dreams that they had as a child. What I am telling you today is that go out there, motivate them. You have the influence already. You have the influence, you have the words to say to change the dream of that child. I'm encouraging you to step out today, to go and tell your sister that, hey, your story is good enough for you to achieve your dreams. To people who have the power to assist these small, medium firms, I am saying to you, I'm challenging you today to continue investing. If you have started already, invest more, because it's not only you enriching the partners who are on those firms, you're also changing a life of a child who didn't think that it was possible to move from wherever they are to be where I am today. And I would like to thank all of you for coming as well to listen to my story and extend the invitation for you to go and see the stall of the company that I work for, Ngubane Co. It's exhibition 8:30 by the Ballroom Hall. And tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Ballroom 3, the CEO of the company, Mr. Ngubane, will be presenting on small, medium-sized entities. Thank you.